Hello, Realtors. Welcome to your SCR Live Update number 349. It is December 2nd. We're here just a few days after the Thanksgiving holiday. Glad to be back at the SCR office. Hope that everyone had a wonderful holiday and enjoyed making some memories with family and friends and loved ones. I'm joined today by Byron King, our General Counsel. Welcome, Byron.
Thanks. Great to be here.
And as always, I'm your host, Nick Kremydas. Byron, my favorite Thanksgiving dish is sweet potato casserole. My mom made a wonderful plate this year. I won't admit how much I ate, but what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Turkey.
The man of many words. I love it. Thanks, Byron. So, Realtors, there we go. That's a great smooth transition, Mike. We got to work on that. We have a few important updates that I wanted to share with you today. This is going to be a long update. We have several issues to cover, but please take a few minutes to watch this all the way to the end. You won't be disappointed. So first, let's start with the most recent news from the NAR settlement. As you know by now, hopefully you've read our emails and the online reporting of this. Judge Bowe in the Sisler case gave final approval to the NAR Home Services settlement last week. And this is despite last-minute objections that were filed by the Department of Justice. There were other objections that were also filed prior to the hearing date, but none of these impacted the judge's final decision in the matter. We've been predicting this. We've been expecting this for months and weeks ahead of the hearing date. So what do we have next? What are the next steps? There is a 30-day window where this ruling may get appealed. We'll have to wait and see if any of the objecting parties file any appeals. I don't expect the defendants in the case to be appealing this, and certainly don't know about the other objectors, but we'll have to wait and see. But there is that 30-day window, so that's technically still open for a few more weeks. But what does the settlement overall mean for South Carolina? Number one, we are going to stress, your association continues to stress the importance of complying with the terms of the settlement. In addition to raising the professionalism in the industry, your own professionalism in your community, and avoiding the MLS fines and other issues, MLS participants now have a final, so to speak, motivation to comply with the settlement. And that is maintaining the protection, the liability protection under this now approved settlement. So you've heard me say this many times. The settlement is far from perfect, right? We know of the problems that have risen since the implementation date. But this important step is now behind us. And Realtors, this allows you to focus on what you do best. And this is what we're going to ask you to continue to do. Focus on providing the highest level of professionalism and service to your clients and customers. Will there be future changes? Will there be other lawsuits? There's a pretty high probability that there will be. But I would recommend don't focus, don't stress, don't spend time thinking about the what ifs. Spend time focusing on the right now. Focus on your business plan. Focus on your clients and customers, putting them first. And you will not only survive through these changes, but you will thrive. As for the copycat lawsuit that was filed here in South Carolina, that doesn't magically just go away. The realtor defendants in that case, I would expect to be dismissed once this appeal period ends. There are some defendants in that case that chose not to opt into the NAR settlement or are not included in the NAR settlement, and that lawsuit will likely proceed. We'll have to wait and see what impact that has for those defendants and possibly any other non-compliant, non-opting in defendants in the case. We'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, these lawyers are also going to be looking for any defendant, realtor or not, for those that are not complying with the settlement. Because if you don't comply with the settlement, you are waiving your protection under the settlement agreement and subjecting you to potentially very high liability. So with that, I'm going to change gears real quick and talk about a new reporting requirement that there's been a little bit of talk about on the interwebs and whatnot, but there hasn't been a whole lot of discussion in the realtor industry. And even though we've been posting articles about this for the last few months, we wanted to continue to bring your attention to it because there's an important deadline coming up. And I've asked Byron King to join us this afternoon to talk about the FinCEN requirement. Byron.
Thanks, Nick. Realtors, this is super easy to do. It sounds maybe scary because it's the federal government, United States Department of Treasury, but super easy to do. You just, if you have an LLC or a corporation, say for your brokerage team or as an individual or even an investment property that you've incorporated, federal government, Department of Treasury, FinCEN, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, they want you to register your LLC, your corporation with the federal government. All you need is your name, your address, your phone number, your email, and your tax ID number. It takes about 5 minutes. You can call the hotline 803-712-3478, or you can just Google FinCEN, Beneficial Ownership Interest, BOI, so FinCEN, BOI, and you'll see something in your Google search about filing. Click that, click to file. You just start filling in the information, very easy to do. The deadline's end of the month, so we've got SRS and ABR courses. You're shopping today on Cyber Monday, but maybe this week, later this week, or next week before you get wrapped up in Christmas and the other holidays, go ahead and carve out 5 minutes. It takes about 5 minutes to fill in the document with your name, address, your corporation name, your tax ID number, and upload an ID so they know it's you. And then you're done. Pretty easy to do by the end of the month. Get your ethics done by the end of the month. Get this BOI, FinCEN done by the end of the month. Any questions, call that.
Yeah, Byron, what's the purpose of this filing? Why are corporations being asked to file their ownership on record?
Yeah, so the risk, what the United States Department of Treasury is trying to do is a lot of bad actors, terrorists or drug dealers, are laundering dirty money into the United States using real estate. And the National Association of Realtors has kept your reporting duties off of you and on the title companies. But what they want to do is feed all this information into their Treasury supercomputers. So when they see a transaction involving one of these LLCs or these corporations, they'll immediately know who owns it. If it's a bad actor trying to money laundering or just a realtor trying to get some business done with their brokerage team or individually or their rental properties, but it's combat money laundering for terrorism, drug dealing.
So failing to file and register your corporation or LLC by December 31st will result in what? What happens if you don't file?
Yeah, so it's federal government, so they got scary penalties like $500 a day. So just go ahead and get it done by the end of the month. If you have any questions, contact the hotline. On the hotline, they ask about Hurricane Helene. If you're in that area and you created your corporation, say this summer where your filing deadlines was in October or mid-December, you've got some relief, but most people have their corporations prior to that Hurricane Helene. You'll need to do it by December 31st, but just contact the hotline. You don't need to pay somebody to do this. I went on and tried to do it. If you're an AE watching this, nonprofits, NAR give us in writing today that nonprofits do not have to register, but just get it done by the end of the month and contact the hotline.
So that was going to be my last question, Byron. Do you need a CPA or an attorney to file this for you?
I mean, you can always use that. Some of them on the hotline have said, hey, my CPA is doing it for free as kind of a service because they do my books. If you got that, that's fine, but it takes like 5 minutes. I went on there. It's very easy. Fill in the blanks. If you've ever applied for a credit card online or booked a hotel room online, it'd be a piece of cake for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Byron. That sounds easy enough. Now, there's been some talk that Congress is going to repeal this law, and the next Congress might adjust it, but for now, this is on the books, and failure to file your FinCEN reporting requirement can result in daily fines that are exorbitant, right? So we're asking all our members to comply with this requirement. Those of you that have an LLC or other corporate entity created here in South Carolina. So let's switch gears one more time, Byron. Let's talk about the Real Estate Commission a little bit. The Real Estate Commission has issued a couple of guidance letters, advisory opinions in the last week or so, and just wanted to cover those two items really briefly. The first one has to do with showing agents, and this one's pretty straightforward. we've had this hotline scenario come up several times where listing agents who are hosting open houses were recruiting agents from other companies, not under their broker in charge, to come and host their open house. Maybe they had to go on a last-minute doctor's appointment and needed somebody to fill in, and they were, going online and recruiting, sometimes even offering to pay other agents to come in. And we've always warned that type of behavior was, number one, creates a whole lot of liability for the listing company, and certainly the brokers in charge in those scenarios were not aware of those activities and shut it down pretty quick. But now we have the backing of the Real Estate Commission, right? The Real Estate Commission in their showing agent guidance letter makes it very clear that only agents that are, number one, licensed and affiliated with the listing brokerage should be hosting open houses, which, as I've said, is consistent with the legal advice that I know the legal hotline has been sharing with members. The second issue, Byron, dealing with wholesaling is a little more complicated, right? If you haven't read the guidance letter, I'll ask Mike to post links in the comments to both of these. It's on the Real Estate Commission's website. But here's the short take on wholesaling. If the assignment involves, and this has to do with assigning properties and then trying to sell them or flip them before the assignee actually takes ownership. And there are some situations where that's a kind of a legitimate business practice, but there are also those out there that are trying to basically steal the equity out of unaware homeowners, taking advantage of either seniors or those that are in cash-strapped situations. But here's the short take of the letter. If the assignment involves marketing or advertising the property for sale before taking ownership with the expectation of being compensated, it qualifies as wholesaling and is prohibited by the change that the legislature passed earlier this year. We're going to have Byron and the legal team do a specific podcast on this topic because we could do a whole afternoon talking about wholesaling. But Byron and his team will be providing us a little more information on this as we move forward in the next few weeks. The other interesting thing that I wanted to share with y'all this afternoon was something that could impact a lot of your current clients, past clients, that you may want to make them aware of. I know in Florence County, the Florence County tax assessor is going through their 5-year reassessment. They sent out tax assessment notices a few weeks back. And in those assessment notices, that they attach a new value, updated value on your property, whether it's primary or secondary property. To me, this seems like a golden opportunity to work with past clients to assure that the valuation that the county is tagging to that property is accurate based on current fair market value. And I'll tell you my personal story. I got my tax assessment notice a few weeks ago. I thought it was very high. I thought it was too high. And I asked a local realtor. I happen to know a local realtor in Florence who pulled an RPR, Realtor Property Resource Report, on my house. All of our realtors have access to RPR. And using that RPR report, which looked at comparable sales, creating a realtor valuation report for my house, I was able to submit that along with the letter to the Florence County assessor. And guess what? I got a response to this yesterday. It would have been Saturday, not yesterday, sorry. And the Florence County assessor says, "Thank you for providing detail to support your opinion of the current value. We agree with your proposed value." and I had to sign a conference letter basically agreeing to the lowered amount, and I sent that back in. Realtors, I think this is a tremendous opportunity to help clients and customers, especially in those counties that are going through county-wide reassessments. Stay on top of what's happening in your county. Use the information and the tools that your association provides you. You can become a real hero to your client base. So I think that was enough of the legal and all the other dramas that we had last week. Now, there was some other news from the weekend that I don't want your SCR team to be accused of ever playing favorites, and as your CEO, I support all the beautiful corners of our state. As you know, I'm a strong advocate for South Carolina, and there's a reason why we're the #1 move-to state in the entire country. We're the most popular state to move to, and it's because of our quality of life. It's because of the people that are here, the jobs, the growth, the development, the conservation, the green space, all of those things that equate to a very high quality of life. And, there was a little bit of football play this weekend. Very, very close game. Kudos to both teams for, I think, a great season from both teams, and really some hard-fought football this weekend. But I don't want anyone accusing us of being. I can't even say it with a straight face, Mike. Sorry, guys. Y'all know I had to kind of rub this in just a little bit today. It was a lot of fun, great game, and maybe college playoffs for the Gamecocks. What do you think, Byron?
Beat SMU.
Beat SMU. All right, guys. Well, enough fun for today. Thank y'all for your time and attention this afternoon. We've got a town hall coming up. We've got more news. The Real Estate Commission is meeting in just a couple of weeks, and we've got we've got the big awards gala on Thursday night. Who's going to be the Realtor of the Year, Byron? So Byron knows, but he's not telling. And we're not going to tell either. You're going to either have to come to the gala Thursday night to find out, or we'll be announcing it, of course, shortly thereafter. So looking forward to seeing all the realtors here in Columbia later this week. In the meantime, stay safe, stay realtor strong, and we'll be back in touch again real soon.